Good morning, second graders, and welcome to the Case of the Dognapped Cat, Chapter 8, Hands Up. Go ahead and get your books out. We're on page 71. We're going to hear about what happens to Samson. Here we go. Chapter 8, Hands Up. Samson padded lightly through the silent house. In the front room, he stopped to stare at the couch. He crouched slightly, his fur rising as he gazed at the covered form on the couch. A series of snores startled him. His thick muscles bunched under his heavy coat of fur. A rumble began in his throat. A particularly loud snore shattered the quiet. Samson scrambled back against the doorway into the kitchen. He took up a fighting stance and answered the snore with the high, keening wail of his battle cry. The snores stopped abruptly. Albert sprang to his feet, and the dogs began to bark. "What's that? What's that?" he screeched into the darkness. "Calm down, Albert," Mick yelled over the noise. "I'm coming." Confused by the sounds that came from every direction, Samson backed into the kitchen. His throat vibrated as he let loose another warning howl. "Get away!" Albert screamed. "I've got a gun!" "No, don't!" Mick's yell was cut short by the sound of a gunshot. Samson's claws screeched on the kitchen floor. Loud thumps pounded in his ears. A second later, a floor-rattling thud came from the hall. Samson leaped across the kitchen floor and dived into the basket of clothes. He crouched at the bottom, every muscle tensed. His ears flattened against his head as he bared his teeth in a soundless snarl. "Don't shoot!" Mick exclaimed. "Don't shoot! Put down that gun, Albert! Put it down!" When no sound came from Albert, Mick carefully untangled himself from the ladder in the hallway. He crawled the few feet along the wall to the light switch, muttering as he crunched over broken bits of plaster. Cautiously, he stretched out one hand and scrabbled along the shattered plaster until he found the switch. The switch clicked, but no light came on. Mick groaned and crawled back down the hall. He searched on the floor by the ladder until he finally found the flashlight. Then he pulled himself up and switched it on. He stopped in the doorway and stared around the room. Albert lay face down and sprawled across the floor. His bare feet were tangled in the bedsheet. The floor was littered with bits of broken plaster that had shattered when the bullet hit the wall between the front room and the hall. The gun was nowhere to be seen. Mick sighed heavily. He stooped over and pulled up Albert's head by the hair. When he found nothing wrong but a bump on the forehead, he let the hair go. Albert's head hit the floor dully. After searching the room, he found the gun. It had hit the floor and slid under a chair near the hallway. Mick picked it up and clicked on the safety. He scowled down at Albert. Never will you ever get your hands on a gun again." He started for the kitchen, picking his way carefully on bare feet. The kitchen was quiet, the back door still locked, and the windows were latched. Mick came back and bent over Albert. "Wake up," he snapped. "Come on, get up." Albert struggled to his knees, blinking. Mick helped him back onto the couch where he sat staring blankly across the room. Mick grunted in disgust. "I can see I'll get no help from you." He shook Albert sharply. "Pull yourself together." When Albert finally focused on Mick's face, Mick said, "I'm going outside to check around the house. You keep watch here." Albert nodded, but he didn't move an inch. Mick sighed and unlocked the front door. "Not that I'll hear a thing over those yelping hounds," he muttered. Shut up there. The dogs quieted somewhat, and Mick stepped outside. He left the front door open and let the moonlight in. Then he moved silently along the porch. His heavy frame threw a giant shadow on the wall of the house. At the edge of the porch, he stepped down onto the bare ground. He stifled an exclamation as he tripped over a tangled root. Limping, he followed the outside wall of the house around to the back. He heard a scurrying sound at the back door. Quickly, he released the safety on the gun. He pointed the flashlight toward the garbage cans and aimed the gun. "Come out with your hands up!" he yelled. A garbage lid sailed into the air and clattered down the steps. Mick shot quickly, pulling the trigger 3 times before he charged the garbage cans. A big raccoon sprang from behind one can and headed for the thick underbrush behind the house. Unable to stop, Mick dived over the cans and landed in the dirt. The rocking cans tumbled over on him, covering him with coffee grounds and soggy noodles. Inside, Samson panicked at the sound of the clatter. He launched himself out of the laundry basket. On his way through the layers of clothes, his head poked through the neck of one of Albert's white shirts. Albert was still sitting on the couch when he saw the shifting white form sail through the air. He beat Samson through the door by mere seconds. As he crashed through the underbrush, he shrieked for his partner. Just as frightened, Samson headed in the opposite direction. The first stretch of wild briars ripped the strangling shirt from his head. Relieved of its hampering folds, the big cat found the road. Tail straight out, hair on end, Samson ran for home. All right, boys and girls, that's chapter 8. I'll see you next time. We'll find out what happens in chapter 9. Bye.